What is up, Fantasyland? We are here, week one, the first tailgate, Thursday tailgate of the season, and we bring you a huge guest because this is a huge week, guys. It's finally here. We had to set lineups. I know we're all last second setting those lineups, and we're here to help you do that today. And we brought you another huge guest to fire off this season's tailgate with Brian Drake from PFF. You know him from the FF Hustle. Brian, welcome to the district, brother.
I'm so happy to be here. I've seen Dwayne on this show a number of times. I know you guys do really great work over here. You got like all your big high stakes guys out there, probably some watching us from Las Vegas right now. So if you're in Las Vegas watching us and not at a pool, drinking a beer and getting ready for this game, like go to a sports book, get crazy. Like you catch us later on YouTube because Vegas is the greatest city in the world.
Like you've got they're degenerates, man. I don't know if guys are on Twitter watching these guys' pictures by the pool, and they got their laptops or they're lined up inside trying to get into the dinners and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, whoever's in Vegas right now, wish you guys all the luck. I know Theo, Dan, and Andrew are out there. They actually drafted a team together this morning, the varsity live. So they're pounding huge drafts down there in Vegas. So shout out to everyone in Vegas. And shout out to everyone, with lineups going into tonight. Let's jump into it. Brian, we normally go long. I'd normally be asking you what's your out time, because we'll go like $1.90, or 90 minutes, $1.20. But today we're going to try to keep it, 30 to 40 minutes is kind of how we want to do these, just to let people, get ready for for the big game tonight. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I love that. Awesome. I'm used to these long marathon shows too. So we keep it easy.
Yeah. We'll get through it. I mean, we'll chat. We're not in a huge rush or anything. We got at least 45 is kind of the latest I want to cut it, but
it was my kid's first day of school. So I'm like, listen, good to see you kids. Daddy's got a podcast to do in the basement. I got beers cooling in the fridge. I got a game at about 8:20. So nice. You got 8 minutes. Nice. Tell me how your day went.
Yeah, mine was 2 days ago. First day grade 1. So we
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was it's nice at that age. What's your youngest?
I have kids in 5th grade and 3rd grade. So they're old hat at this point. You come back. How was school? It's great. I'm going back outside. They're like, we're gonna go ride the bike. Oh,
nice. Great. Nice. They can keep themselves busy. That's
yeah, they don't care anymore.
All right, before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty, I got to ask you, I talked about it last night on the show, big news with Dwayne McFarlane. He's a big friend of the show. I'm sure people that are going to watch this or watching this right now are wondering, is that something you guys knew about? Are you guys going to still work together kind of moving forward?
What happened to Dwayne? So everybody knows Dwayne got a great opportunity to go work with Matthew Berry at Fantasy Life. I actually just heard him today on Sirius XM with Kendall Valenzuela doing a great job. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to go off and do that. Does it mean things are never going to happen again at the Fantasy Football Hustle? Absolutely not. The beauty of what Dwayne and I do is we own the show. We created it. We brought it kind of under some umbrellas of different places that he worked. But we own the show. We own the YouTube and the podcast and all that other stuff. So, all the graphics are on my computer and everything. So no, really what this does is it allows me to branch out and do more, showcase myself, put out some more solo content, some more articles and things like that. But when Dwayne and we figure a schedule out, we'll do some stuff and maybe you'll see some other guys jumping on it and plugging things along the way. Cause we got a lot of friends in fantasy football. There's a lot of smart people out there. The hustle is not dead, folks.
Nice.
So just keep following at FF Hustle. We're a long way from done.
We're happy to hear that. I'm sure the audience is happy to hear that. Let's jump into kind of a more macro, and then we'll narrow it down into week one as we get to the second half of the show. But looking macro, kind of it's a fun time of year to kind of pick your teams. You got prop bets. Who do you think is going to Super Bowl division? So let's start divisional. What's your who do you have as your divisional winners?
It's funny you mentioned that. This is the last day. This is really the last day of Rome right here, because I love this time of year because you can talk about every player. Everybody's interested in the play. Like, yeah, tell me, I want to learn about Rondell Moore. If that news about Rondell Moore breaks next week, nobody cares because he's like, he's not on my team. I don't care about this guy. You only care about your teams.
Yep.
But yeah, let's talk about these division winners. And if you're looking over my shoulder, I'll start in the NFC. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. There's no way in the world, if this team stays healthy, they don't win the NFC East. with the mess that's going on in Dallas. Washington is Washington. The Giants, they can't stay healthy and get out of their own way. Give me the Eagles to win the NFC East. Are you going to give me your picks too? We're going to go along with it?
Yeah, I'm right with you with the Eagles. I love the Eagles. I made a joke last night because I took one of my first shares, if not my first share, of Miles Sanders, because I love me some Gainwell when the price difference was maybe a bit more. But I took Miles Sanders. We were joking, and I said I believe so much in this offense. I love Hurts and AJ Brown together. The offensive line. It's hard for me not to have any Miles Sanders, as much as I might not be as high on him going into the season.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's move over to the North, where I'm going to take the Packers here. I don't think it's a great surprise because the division's not great. They were a team last year that went 13-4. I think they can kind of sleepwalk through this division again. But I think they're going to struggle at times because of this offense. And we're going to get into some of those players a little bit later, I know, but I mean, it's not the same team. Their defense is great. I'm playing that defense in season long all over the place, but they got to find their identity again. And are they running the football now? Are they getting those two backs going every week? I mean, is it going to be Watkins, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson? So I think they'll win the division, but it's going to take a second for things to shake themselves out in Green Bay.
I like the pick. I love the Vikings this year. They're my favorite. One of my favorite offenses to invest in. JJ for me is the wide receiver one. And I just, what we saw under the previous regime and what we could see under this regime, while teams like Green Bay maybe don't have the strengths that they've had in the past, I think will be a good fight between the Vikings and the Packers. We're lucky enough to see them in week one. So we'll see how the season plays out. But I do think, however, that the Packers are going to be, I think a lot of people kind of have the Packers down and out, and I don't think that's the case at all.
I'm on record as saying I think Dalvin Cook is going to be the overall RB1 in fantasy football, and it's just for what you said. If they're running that McVay, we'll call it the McVay offense now, that Rams offense, you've seen what it's done over the years with these running backs, and there is just a path for receptions. There's a path for lots of carries, lots of goal line work. These teams score a lot. So, yeah, I love Dalvin Cook. Finally, they can use Dalvin Cook, in my opinion, in a way that best fits his skill set. So if you got Dalvin Cook, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe later in some of your drafts, you're going to be singing, his praises all year long. Oh, my God, look, I got the number one running back in football. The guy's scoring me 25 points a week in a PPR. What were these idiots thinking with the first 4 picks?
Yeah. No, I think it's that the Vikings have some nice offensive pieces. You can go all the way down to tight end with Irv Smith as a nice little sleeper.
All right, let's go to the NFC South, where I'm going to pick the Buccaneers. I know a lot of folks are on the Saints. I mean, those are really kind of the two teams in the division I think they actually have a shot. But Tampa Bay, even with their offensive line issues, is still, in my mind, the most talented team in the league. I can't say I'm going to pick Jameis Winston over Tom Brady, even with the line. I mean, Jameis Winston is going to throw the football to the other team, and they've had their losses in New Orleans. They've lost guys on the offensive line. They lost a safety. They're not as good as people like to make them out to be, because I don't know why. It's always been in my head this offseason. I go, the Saints are going to regress. There's no Peyton. There's no Breeze. It's freaking Winston. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, initially it's fun to pick the Saints. You think with Winston, as a quarterback. Sorry, I was going to say in the backfield. But one thing I think a lot of us have learned: it's hard to bet against two guys in the NFL, and that's Bill out in New England, and that's Tom now in Tampa. And like you said, maybe there's some regression in certain spots on this roster, but with a guy like that running the show, in the captain's chair, they'll figure it out, man. And that's what these guys do. That's why they're winners. So I think you're right. I think that the Bucs may have a little harder road out of the division, but I do think they do in the end win it.
In the NFC West, you see the Cardinals, they're falling apart already. Rondell Moore down, Zach Ertz is hurt. You've got DeAndre Hopkins suspended for 6 weeks. So to me, the Rams are going to take this division and win it by 2 games. 49ers, as good as they've been in the past. We don't know what this is going to look like with Trey Lance. Could they shift to Jimmy G if it kind of gets off the rails? And the Seahawks are going to get the first pick in the draft.
I've got nothing to add. You nailed it. I mean, if Kittle wasn't injured, I hate groin injuries. They just linger. And if we knew more with what we're going to get out of Lance, I think like a lot of people, I'd be way more confident in them. But I mean, the Rams are the Rams, and they're not slowing down. It doesn't look like anyways. So as long as Stafford's good, I think they come out of this division as well.
All right. So let's go over to the AFC, where in the East, I mean, how do we pick against these Buffalo Bills right here? They only won the division by a game. People think they steamrolled this division. It got a little tight down the stretch, and everybody in that division has improved. So I like the Bills. I think the Dolphins finish in second place. I'm petrified of this Patriots team with Matt Patricia calling plays. Like, what is it hubris? Is it nobody else wanted to come there? Did they sleep through the interviews? Like, that's the guy you have calling plays for your offense, Matt Patricia? Like, what is Belichick thinking with this?
Again, it's hard to question Bill. I totally get where you're coming from, and I see the question marks in people's faces, and I don't disagree with it. I mean, what we saw in Detroit was just awful, and he's a defensive coach. But you got to think Bill maybe A is going to have more grasp on that offense than we think, and B maybe he's just wants someone that he trusts there. He just lost his OC from how many years, so maybe he just needs a bit of that comfort level, and maybe he is going to run that show for until they find someone to come in. But yeah, I mean, if Patricia is handling that offense, it is terrifying. You can't bet against the Bills. I mean, the Bills are the Bills.
They're too talented,
right? Yeah, too much talent. Especially opportunity costs. Look at the options. If other teams were in this division, maybe, but for me, easily the Bills out of the East.
All right, in the North, everybody loves the Bengals because the Bengals went to the Super Bowl last year. I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. This was a team that was destroyed by injuries last year. All right. I mean, they lost all their running backs. Their whole secondary was going down. By the minute, people were dropping from ACL injuries. I hope they replace the turf at whatever practice facility they have, because it's like they had snipers out there taking guys out. The Ravens are a supremely talented team. Will their offense be pretty? Absolutely not. I mean, they're going to be running the wing T out here. It's going to look like a Pop Warner game with 38 tight ends on the field. But I think they somehow find a way to get done. I think they have a really good defense, and they find a way to win this division, and the Bengals regress a little bit. Still make the playoffs, because I don't think the Browns obviously are not, and the Steelers with their quarterback issues are going to be middle of the pack. But I like the Ravens to win the AFC South. Or North, excuse me, North.
Yeah, I heard a stat today, and I can't for the life of me remember, but just some sports betting guys from Vegas talking about teams coming off of Super Bowl losses and how they perform, especially a franchise like the Bengals. Just awful numbers. So as much as I love Burrow, I love this offense. T. Higgins, one of my most owned players in fantasy. I do think the offense is still going to be a powerhouse, but I do think there's some regression in Cincinnati. As long as Lamar is on the field, and as long as they can get guys like J.K. Dobbins to come back and be J.K. Dobbins that we saw in the past, I think you're right. I think this is the team to beat in the division. Right now, the Steelers are, who knows, right, with the quarterback position, and then the same thing in Cleveland. So you got to think that as long as the Ravens can get Lamar signed, that they come out of the division.
AFC South, in my opinion, the worst division in football. If the Colts don't win this division by 3 games, there's something wrong with the best quarterback they've had in years. Weapons on the outside for him now with Pittman and Pierce, and maybe we get some health for some of the other guys there. The Texans are going to be the Texans. They'll be scrappy, but if they win 5 games, I'd be shocked. Jaguars, they're a 3-4 win team. And the Titans, people forget the Titans were the number 1 seed in the AFC last year, at 12-5. And everybody looks at them this year and they go like, nah, they forget them. Almost like
they almost beat the Bengals in the playoffs.
They should have probably. We got Derrick Henry coming back, which I'm sure in that high stakes world, people are just, are they still in on Derrick Henry? Are they saying like, hey, I'm going to take him in the top 5? Or is he? I've
No,
seen some drafts where you're getting him in the second round.
Yeah, he's falling in the second round. Like even last night, he fell to the like mid-second round.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if he comes back and he's Derrick Henry of old, what a steal.
I think people underestimate Titans. I'm a Colts fan. I have the Colts winning the Super Bowl this year. I'm really confident in this team. I think Matty Ice found his place for redemption. And I think you can't have a more perfect fit. I'm sure everybody knows that. But I do think the Colts kind of not being in the spotlight as one of the contending teams, I think gives them the advantage. I think the focus will be on that AFC West division. Whoever comes out of that division, probably the toughest apart from the Bills for the Colts. But I think one of those 3 teams goes to the AFC finals to the Super Bowl out of the AFC, in my opinion. Where do you see? We still have the West. Speaking of the West, the fireworks division.
I'm going to go here with the team that came in last place in this division last year. The Denver Broncos were 7-10. I think they're going to win the division. I think they've got the best defense in the division. I think their upgrade with Russell Wilson is going to just set this team on fire. If their receivers can stay healthy. I mean, how athletic is this team with Javonte Williams, with Melvin Gordon, with Alberto at tight end, with, Sutton, Judy, KJ Hamler? This is a really loaded offense. And to have Russell Wilson now pulling the strings, I love it. I have no faith in the Raiders. I've never had faith in the Raiders because I'm not a believer in Derek Carr. I don't know if he can be aggressive enough. And maybe in this Josh McDaniels offense, he won't have to be because it's going to be dink and dunk. And I don't think Devontae Adams is going to give you the numbers that he has in the past because he's never had these target threats on the outside to challenge him. And the Chiefs, without Tyreek Hill, that's a big, big loss. And it changes the way you have to defend that offense. Now, nobody's afraid of Juju and MVS and Hardman. Enough of these people. Oh, I'm going to draft Hardman and MVS. Don't waste your money. Just stop. Take somebody else. Those guys are terrible. There's a reason, MVS is a scrub. He's a one-trick pony. And I don't think I own him on a single team.
I think Chargers are probably the team that puts up the biggest fight with Denver, but the biggest difference I see between these 2 teams is one has a home field advantage, the other one doesn't really.
That's such a great point. I hope they do because my home league that I care about more than anything in the world, I drafted Justin Herbert.
And I've got a lot of Herbert too. We did a draft a live stream with a bunch of high stakes guys, and I remember I took Herbert ahead of Mahomes, and everyone was like, "Ooh, this was like earlier in the off season." But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest difference between these 2 teams. I think the Chargers might be set up to under perform, if that makes sense, because I think people are so high on them. I love the Chargers. I love what Herbert brings, but I don't know that we see them kind of come out of this division, on top the way people are thinking. So I love your Broncos call. I think Russell Wilson going there is a bigger factor than what I think like Fantasyland is thinking, the perception that I see out there. I'm seeing this kind of like when my boy Peyton went out to Denver, maybe not to that extent because Peyton is the co-goat. I'll call him the co-goat with Tom. But I love Russell in Denver. I love all the pieces. Guys who listen know how much I love Alberto, Sutton, and then you've got the whole offense, and then you've got the defense to complement it. So I love all your picks. Who do you have winning the whole thing, or who do you have in the Super Bowl to kind of?
Let me say this before we go on to that, because I was just thinking this when we talk about the Chargers. Look at every team in that division. And let's take their running back. And this is because we know how running backs, play a part in fantasy football. But we saw what happened when Derrick Henry went down for the Titans last year. If the Chiefs lose CEH for the season, can they still survive and be a good team?
For sure.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Josh Jacobs. Does anybody care if Josh Jacobs gets hurt? No. They've got 800 other guys. Zamir White's there, and, they'll be fine. The Broncos, if Javonte goes down, still got Melvin Gordon.
Malago.
Right?
Yep.
If Austin Eckler goes down for the Chargers, how does that offense replace him?
They brought in Sony for a reason, right? They haven't found their guy yet. I think it was Kelly.
But he's not the same player that Austin Eckler is. He can't fit that off. I think they theoretically then change their offense.
It'll be role playing because we saw Josh Kelly in the preseason quite a bit. Not that he's gonna
but they're not going to play that role of going out and catching passes. I think it's just now it's on Herbert's arm. He's just throwing it all day long to those receivers.
Who is it? Kylan, is it, what's the rookie in the other one?
Well, he's with the Rams.
I'm thinking about the Rams. I'm getting the LA teams mixed up. All right.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I still call him San Diego half the damn time.
Yeah. The colors are the same. Come on, man. Confusing us. All right. Let's go to the Super Bowl, man. Who do you think's in the Super Bowl? Who do you think is going to take this thing?
Well, I mean, you're homering out here with the Colts going. So I'm going to do the same. And I'm going to take my Eagles because, again, there's a lot of warts on these teams. You got Matthew Stafford and his bad arm. You got the Bucs and no offensive line. And you got Aaron Rodgers and the Packers with no playmakers to speak of. So I'm taking my Eagles, and they're going to go up against these Buffalo Bills that we see tonight. And I'm going to pick the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I live in upstate New York. I just want to see the pure madness in the streets. If Buffalo won and people are just, jumping through flaming tables, in school parking lots, if that happens, I can't wait to see it.
All right, let's, I like the call. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Colts and the Bills battle it out for the bowl, and I wouldn't be surprised to see your Eagles there either. I really like
the Colts playing. There's only like 4 good teams in the NFC, so
yeah, no, I'm just I'm trying to think who I had. I probably sorry, the Eagles. The Eagles.
Let's go.
Eagles Colts are probably my my Super Bowl final going into the season. Like I said, I'm super high on Philly. I don't see too many holes on that team right now. So as long as health can stay with that team, I think they they come out of that division easily, with not too much hustle from the rest of the guys in that division. So I think Philly has a really good chance. I believe in Hurts and what they've done in that franchise. So let's go more individual players here. We'll do kind of a more, maybe a bit of a, not rapid fire, but, kind of go through these. Looking, again, macro, who's like a league winner? And this could be defined different ways, right? Like
you froze up on me there for a second.
Oh, did I freeze? Sorry.
Is it cold up there in Canada right now? Like, what's going on?
My wife just told me the AC died in the house. So it's starting to get cold. We don't need the AC anymore. So the timing's okay. But no, it's about 20. Well, I guess
you're freezing up on me here. We lost JD in the stream.
Oh, I think that's BRiAN.
Now
you're freezing up, buddy.
I'm
Can you hear me?
You're here. I see you.
Yeah, you're freezing in and out. Can you do you want to maybe leave and come back?
All right, I'm out in a minute. Hang on.
Thanks. Sorry, guys, just a bit of a connection issue. We'll see if BRiAN comes back, if his connection is, I think he thought it was mine, but I think it seemed like he was freezing up. So let's just see. We'll get BRiAN back in a second here. Guys, check out myffpc.com. There's links below for all our partners, all our sponsors. Below, just click on the link, get your extra bonuses. You okay with me now, BRiAN? Can you hear me okay?
I'm back. I've got, I don't know what happened there. I thought I saw you started freezing up and I'm like, oh man, I thought I got all the porn bugs out of this thing.
It's all good, man. It's all, we're used to little glitches here and there here. We've got guys all over the States and up here in Canada when we do the shows. So it happens. No problem.
All right.
So league winner, who's your big league winner? If you had to pick one for this season.
So I just talked about how the Packers have no weapons on the outside, and yet I'm going to go to the well, and I'm going to say Romeo. Is it Dubs or Dobbs? I still don't know yet.
I like to say Dubs, but Dubs is probably like what I hear the most.
Yeah, so Romeo Dubs, I mean, you look at this kid, what he did in the preseason. Okay, it's preseason. I get it, but they need an alpha. Allen Lazard's on his 7th year in the league. He's going to break out now. I don't think so. Cobb's 200 years old. Christian Watson already slow off the mark. If Dobbs can become the guy and earn Aaron Rodgers' trust early, I mean, this guy's going to score 10 touchdowns on the season and catch, 75 balls maybe, depending on how they spread it out there. And when are you getting him in the 10th round of some drafts, like in home leagues especially?
Yeah.
So that's my guy, Romeo Dubs. He's winning your league for you, folks.
I like it. I went a lot higher than you did. So you went a lot deeper for this one. I play in a lot of tight end preems. I'm going to go Kyle Pitts. I think
Oh,
as much as there's questions with the quarterback position, I think if you have Kyle Pitts in the tight end preems, especially if we see some kind of regression with Kelsey and Mandrews or one of the two, I think Kyle Pitts can really take your team over the top, especially like I said in those tight end preems.
I was in a draft last night. It was just a regular half-point PPR league for a radio station here in Syracuse where I live. Guy took Mark Andrews at the 2-1. Not tight end premium or nothing like that. He's just like, nope, I'm taking him. He's my guy. I'm like, okay, get your guy, I guess.
Yeah, guys like to seal up the onesies in those the home leagues, right?
Oh, yeah, he did.
So we went for the the winners sleepers. I know sleepers is saying that we like to kind of throw around, and these days there's not much of a that's not really a thing anymore. But who's like a guy that you think is sneaky that can really help a team come maybe go over the top this year?
Yeah, I probably would have said Romeo Dubs for that, but I'm really digging these late tight ends, and I like to take a shot on a few of them. So David Njoku being one of them, because we know Jacoby Brissett likes to target the tight end. They don't have hardly any other weapons out there besides Amari Cooper. So Njoku with the contract now, if he sees that high target volume, this is a guy that goes undrafted in some leagues. I think he's available in about 25% of Yahoo leagues right now. So I'm kind of digging him. Other guys at the tight end position, you mentioned earlier, Albert O. All the hype of, oh, he played into the fourth quarter of a preseason game. I don't care about that. Maybe they had to. Maybe the other guys were hurt, or it doesn't matter. He's starting with Russell Wilson. Like, they're not going to play Dulcich and all these other guys. They're going to play Albert O. So if he gets out there with those offenses, with the schedule they have to play, I really do think he could be a guy that catches 65, 70 balls this year.
It's funny you went tight end because my sleeper I have written down is Brevin Jordan. He's
okay. People are digging him, man. People are reeling on him.
He is. He's my most owned tight end. We talk about him a lot on the show. I know we drafted him on a bunch of teams that we share here with the guys. We talk about narrow target trees, right? And you got Brandon Cooks, you got Brevin Jordan, you got Nico Collins.
It's real narrow.
It's narrow. So
it's a twig.
And they're going to be throwing the ball. I mean, this team is not going to be leading, 12 out of 17 games this year. So I do like Brevin Jordan as a sleeper. Zamir White, we talked about some of these guys. I'm looking at the questions I kind of placed that, for us to talk about, and I don't really know where to put him. But Zamir White, for me, if he does end up ahead of Jacobs, no matter how that happens, I think he can definitely be a big winner in that offense, especially if he takes over the running game.
I'm with you. I said that when he got drafted. I said it to Dwayne on the show. I go, what? I got to find the timestamp of that. Because I go, what if Zamir White takes over this backfield? He goes, it'll never happen. Zamir White's not doing it. Now Kenyon Drake is gone. Josh Jacobs kind of stinks. So it's going to be Zamir White season. And you're going to see me clip the video and put it on Twitter. And I'm going to tag my good buddy Dwayne on it.
Whenever there's a new regime that comes in and the guy ahead is not, from, and then the guy that is behind him is, there's a higher probability, I think, of him kind of taking over that job. But we'll see. I also think Jacobs has been really good value in a lot of drafts this year because people were just kind of letting him drop.
Oh yeah, you can get him. Nobody wants to touch him.
What about letdown? Who's a guy that you think could be a letdown for fantasy land this year?
We're going to see him tonight. Maybe is Cam Akers. As I'm talking to a lot of these doctors. My buddy Jesse Morse is going to come on the Sirius show with me. Mario Pilato, the PFF injury guy. I like reading their stuff about these Achilles injuries, and it just doesn't happen. And I mean, unless this is Cam Akers is the exception to the rule, why do we all of a sudden believe that he's going to return to this great form? They went out, they drafted Kyron Williams. You still have Darrell Henderson there. I went and stashed Kyron Williams on a bunch of teams just to see what they do tonight. Leagues where you can kind of drop your kicker and you add Kyron and see what happens tonight. And then you can pick up a kicker later. But I mean, I see people taking Cam Akers in the second round of drafts. Like, why? Why are you taking that risk? There's no need. If he doesn't come through, or they just play in a committee, I mean, it's a second round pick. I don't want to spend a second round pick on a committee back.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Again, I kind of went in the early rounds. Debo Samuel,
I'm with you 100%.
yeah, like everybody knows my love for Debo Samuel as a player. Love him, own tons of them when, and won me tons of leagues. But when he started this offseason in the second, third round, and kind of stayed there, for me, I mean, now with Kittle injured, maybe he gains back some of what I thought he would lose. But
Fair, sure.
they're not going to run him through the ground like they did
No,
last year.
would the guy score 8 touchdowns and
Yeah.
like 50 carries? That's not happening again.
Not happening. They just paid him a bunch of money. He's got his new house, the whole deal. I don't know if you saw a video, but I love Debo the player, but I don't think that he's giving you second round league winning, upside there.
Not with that quarterback.
And that's the other thing, right? We don't really know. He might totally gravitate to Ayuk once Lance gets going, or we don't know, like you said, which way this offense is going to go. So looking at rookies, people love talking rookies. Who do you think will be the top scoring rookie?
I'm going to go, and it's kind of lame because, everybody loves him nowadays, but it's Damian Pierce. Damian Pierce is a starting running back for a team if he gets all 3 down work, which I think eventually he will. I mean, everyone's like, oh, Rex Burkhead's going to Rex Burkhead, give me a break. The guy, I think he sold insurance up until 3:00 this afternoon, and now he's playing for the Texans this weekend. What are we talking about here? Damian Pierce is a good player, and he can catch the football. So, rookie, if he stays healthy all season long, I think he's going to be the top scoring guy. I mean, you see him now; he's going 4th, 5th round in drafts.
Yeah, no, I like it. I went Pickens. I
love Pickens.
Just love Pickens. Love everything about him. Love his attitude. Love the opportunity in that offense. I think as long as he clicks, which we saw a bit of that in the preseason. So I just hope he keeps developing. They keep throwing him the ball, checking him the ball. And he could be one of the, if not the top scoring rookie this season.
Love trying to get him in drafts, because if he's playing in 2 wide sets with Deontay Johnson and now they're kicking Claypool into the slot, I mean, this kid's going to get fed on a team that's not as good, probably, as they technically are. And we don't have Big Ben there anymore feeding the ball to one guy. So yeah, I'm with you. I love the Pickens pick.
Going the other way, looking at second-year guys, who's the guy that you think will have regression?
Let's stick with that same team and Najee Harris. The guy, I believe, led all running backs in touches last year. And that to me just screams, hey, he might get hurt. We've already heard Tomlin say maybe we'll take a little off his plate this year. But Najee Harris is a guy who's going to play in a team that's maybe not going to be that great. How many goal line opportunities does he get? Do they take him off the field a little bit on 3rd down? I know that's never really been Tomlin's thing, but I mean, you're going to run this kid into the ground the first 2 years you have him. So still a solid player, but if he's going to regress and people are taking him in the 1st round, I say a little buyer beware maybe with Najee Harris.
Yeah, I almost had him as my biggest letdown. Not because I don't think he's necessarily going to be really bad. Again, opportunity cost, how much you're paying to get him in that 1st round.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you on that as a second-year regression. What about biggest second-year breakout?
I had a couple of guys written down here because I think they could all have really big years. Ramondre, if he gets this passing down work in New England. Kyle Pitts, your boy you just talked about. I mean, he's a wide receiver playing tight end on a team that's going to stink and throw the ball, 700 times this year. And Javonte Williams, if Javonte can become the guy, maybe it's a 70-30 split out there in Denver. We know Nathaniel Hackett likes to throw the ball to his running backs. So Javonte Williams could all of a sudden become, from a 2nd, 3rd round running back, he could jump into that top 10. And you're like, oh my God, I got this young guy cooking with gas here that you stole in your drafts while everybody else, was wasting their 1st round pick on Najee Harris.
I love that. Javonte for sure, breakout candidate. I'm going to go a little deeper. Again, one of my most owned guys, Khalil Herbert out in Chicago.
Ooh, okay.
Really love what we saw last year in 2 of those games where he got the helms against some really good defenses. Again, any of these offenses where new regime comes in, they're not necessarily, an offense that's solid right now, that's solidified in the sense that, they've got, they have Demont there, but they're not doing much to help Herbert. I still think Komet could be a beast, similar to what we talked about with Pitts, narrow target tree out there in Chicago. with Mooney and Kmet. But I think Khalil Herbert can be a big part of this offense. And if there is some kind of injury or issues with Demont, I think sky's the limit, and he could even become a league winner, in my opinion.
I love that. That's a great call. It's a guy you love to have stashed on your bench.
For sure. All right. I mean, it's week 1. That's what we're here for. Let's get into the nitty gritty. I mean, we've had running backs shot. We've had other ones fighting with what's his name on TV on
J.K. Dobbins on Twitter.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins fighting with wow, I'm totally blanking.
I need more followers. I should start some beef with him and see if I can get a little run.
Should totally do that. So if we look at Washington and Baltimore, like, are there any running backs? I mean, now I guess in Washington the picture's a little more clear, you could say. But are you super comfortable starting Gibson? And then what are you doing in Baltimore?
I'm not starting anybody in Baltimore. The only player I like from any of these offenses right now, and I'm playing him maybe in the Scott Fish Bowl or the Kings Classic, one of these, is J.D. McKissic. You know, as long as he's healthy and he's out there, J.D. McKissic is going to catch some passes. We know that the Commanders are going to stink and they're going to throw the football. So he's the only guy I have any sort of trust in, especially in a full point PPR. But yeah, Gibson, you never know with him what they're going to do. I mean, he's not going to play any third downs. So what value really is he going to have? You're hoping he falls into the end zone. It's more than likely he's going to rush for 60 yards and you're going to be sitting there with 6 points.
I'm actually with, I mean, McKissic was kind of, the McKissic and Robinson, obviously before kind of all this mess with Gibby was one of the reasons I was a little down on Gibby. But now with Robinson out of the picture, I think we go back to something like what we saw last year. So I would hope that this gives Gibson another opportunity to maybe show, you know what, like I still have the big play upside. I still have, what I was able to show last year, and hopefully he's not dropping the ball anytime soon. And maybe he does solidify his role in there, at least till Robinson gets back. So I'm hoping that Gibson does show us, especially if they start off against Jacksonville. You would hope that maybe they have a little more, opportunity there.
Forget these Baltimore guys, Kenyon Drake, Mike Davis. No chance. I'm never playing.
No Mike Davis for you?
No, I mean, it maybe if you're putting in a bunch of GPP lineups on DraftKings or FanDuel or whatever, and you're all right, let's throw Mike Davis on one because no one's going to own him, and fine. But some kind of season-long league, I can't put Mike Davis out there. I mean, Lamar, you think they're going to hand the ball to Mike Davis? You got Lamar Jackson back there, and around the goal line. Lamar, just take it. Go do your thing, kid.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because guys like Davis, you draft to plug in holes. And if you're using him this early, it's a little tough. You know what I mean? Like when you're already starting your Mike Davis in week 1, your chances are not looking great. You would hope that he shows us what he showed us in Carolina, and he does plug that hole nicely if you do start him. But I would rather not play any. I'm waiting for Dobbins to come back.
He's a Band-Aid on a broken arm.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Until Dobbins comes back, I'm probably not playing any Baltimore running backs. What about tonight? Akers or Henderson?
I mean, I just spent 10 minutes shitting on Cam Akers, so I got to go Henderson and Kyron Williams. So we'll see Adam Schefter even this morning putting out the little nuggets about Kyron Williams. When Shefty does that, he's got more intel, I think, than leads on.
Nice.
And then watch tonight will be one of those nights where all of a sudden we're watching and you'll see the shot of Cam Akers just like standing on the sidelines. And you're like, oh yeah, we'll see if he gets in the game. And they're going to use him sparingly and all that. So yeah, I'm going anybody but Cam Akers tonight. We'll see if he proves me wrong.
Yeah, Akers is shaky. You're not comfortable starting Akers. Henderson, he's got that versatility. He can catch the ball. He's shown us some nice red zone action. So I do like Henderson as a flex if you really need to start him. Hopefully you're not depending on Akers. But I think it'd be good for fantasy if Akers could come back and maybe he does have a good game. And
here's the other point. So the Rams are pretty short on pass catchers tonight, right? You got Van Jefferson's out. Obviously Woods got traded. There's no OBJ this year. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? Ben Skoranek is running as like your 3, and you got Tutu Atwell. So they're going to need one of these backs to go out and catch some passes. I doubt they're going to have, coming off this Achilles. We'll see how healthy he is and all this and whatever else he had going on in the preseason. Cam Akers out there running all these routes. They're going to have Darrell Henderson doing that tonight. They need people out there to run routes and catch passes. Maybe I'm totally wrong and I look like an idiot, but I don't think they're going to put that on Cam Akers tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. What about going back to KC? I know we touched on it. Are you starting any receivers in KC? Even like Juju? Did you have any Juju?
Juju, I'm fine with. Okay. Anybody else? Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Juju, he's cool. I'll start Juju most weeks until he, forces you to drop him or whatever else. But I mean, Juju was it's a Pro Bowl player a few years ago. People think Juju's 80 years old. He's 24.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'd kill to be 24. I'm 42.
Yeah. And he's getting a nice new fresh start with a guy like Patrick Mahomes. So it could be a worse life for Juju.
They wanted him a year ago and he stupidly stayed in Kansas City or in Pittsburgh and probably lost out on a ton of dough.
Yes.
So I think they got a plan for him. They can use him inside. They can use him outside, move him all around. They're going to find homes for Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, it's him and Kelsey, maybe a little Sky Moore. I don't trust any of those other jokers.
Going back to rookies, I know you talked about Damian in Houston. Is that who you'd pick as your favorite start this week, or who's your favorite rookie start for week 1?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at these receivers, there's a lot of issues. Drake London's banged up. I don't trust Garrett Wilson with the Jets. I don't trust anybody with the Jets, to be honest, with that offense, even though Flacco's in there slinging it. I don't trust Breece Hall right now. So, yeah, I mean, if we're getting down to it, it's got to be Damian Pierce, right? I mean, who else would you say, like, I'm confident in this rookie? Maybe Jahan Dotson?
Yeah, Dotson could surprise a guy like Pickens that I talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Dotson's at least going to start.
Is Olave, he's healthy and ready to go, right?
Right, but now, he's the third option on that team. You got Landry, you've got Michael Thomas, and, he's to me, he's a certain kind of player. He's a shot play guy. He's not very physical out there. He's just kind of, run deep, catch it, get out of bounds. He's not taking, his, what do they call that? Contact, play through contact. I'm not Greg Cosell. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't see that with Olave. So Jahan Dotson and Damian Pierce, those are my 2 rookies.
I know this isn't on the sheet or anything, but where are you on James Cook? How do you like the rookie in Buffalo?
I mean, they told us what they wanted to do. They wanted CMC. They wanted McKissick. They want a pass-catching back. I'm fascinated because if you listen to the Fantasy Football Hustle, Dwayne's been talking about James Cook for 4 months. So I took my friend's advice and I drafted him in a few spots. I'm dying to see what they do with him. And tonight they could unleash him, really, because this game could be a shootout. And if they're going to throw, where else are they going to throw? A game of track meet in SoFi. So let's see it tonight. I wouldn't start him, but I'm fascinated to see how he looks.
FBG, should I start Rondale Moore or Cooks? For me, Cooks. Rondale Moore, as we know, injured.
Can't start Rondale.
Yeah, you can't start Rondale. So if you're not aware of Broward, make sure you don't start Moore. Cooks is a good start, in my opinion, against Houston.
That wouldn't even be a question for me. It's always going to be Brandon Cooks.
Do you like any Lions against your Eagles?
Well, let's see. So I love Swift. I think DeAndre Swift is going to be great. The Eagles secondary is much improved now with James Bradbury. They just got Chauncey Gardner from the Saints. I don't know how much he's going to play, how much he knows the defense. So maybe it's one of those games where one of those secondary guys kind of take off because I think St. Brown, they're not going to shadow St. Brown with Slay. But, when they move him around, maybe they put him in the slot a little bit to match up with Avonte Maddox. Maybe this is one of those weeks where like DJ Chark gets deep and scores. So maybe in a DFS lineup, if I'm playing, AJ Brown and I'm playing, Jalen Hurts, I want to bring back with like a DJ Chark and see what he can do for me. No one's going to play DJ Chark in anything, so he's going to be super low owned.
You remember a couple of years ago? Is it how many years ago now? Where he had that crazy surprise season. He was like drafted in the 150s and just
he killed it for the Jags.
He got hit for Jacksonville. My memory is cloudy right now, but do you have any favorite kickers or defenses this week? We've got a lot of FFPC guys that have to start them in their leagues.
A kicker that nobody gives love to, but he's back with the Saints, Will Lutz. is
Yes.
a guy's got a
Yes.
huge leg, plays indoors. He's got Jameis Winston out there who you're going to see drives stalling. And, if he turns the ball over, they're going to get some shootouts back and forth. I love the fact that he plays, like I said, in the dome. So I like Will Lutz as a guy that nobody wants to seem to pick up. Defensively, I mean, like we said, my Eagles going up against the Lions. I like the Packers as a team this year. Some other guys, everyone's big on the Colts and all the other names. But, I mean, how do you go wrong with the Ravens? Ravens going against the Jets and Joe Flacco.
Ravens. Yeah, I like Washington this week at home against as a defense, and the Vikings kicker. Forget his name right now, but I love your call on the Saints kicker, and I reacted that way because he went from being one of the top 3 picks last year, in drafts, and this year he just falls. He's the forgotten man. So
yeah, I mean, he got hurt. Now he's back and he's got big leg. Especially if you're in a league that gives you points for distance field goals, he can crush it from 60.
Great call. Love that. He's Brian Drake. Brian, this has been a blast. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Remind the people where to find you, or you're also on SiriusXM. So talk about all the cool spots people can find you.
Yeah, so find me on Twitter over at Drake Fantasy. I see we got people. Are you still going to do your show, Dwayne? Yeah, don't worry, we'll figure some stuff out, and you'll get more content from the FF Hustle. Follow the FF Hustle on YouTube and on Twitter at FF Hustle. So yeah, it's not dead. Trust me, it's like the Undertaker coming out of the coffin. So I appreciate people asking about that. But we own the show. It's not like PFF owns it or anybody else. It's our show. We can do what we want with it. How we see fit. So hang out for that. Yeah, Sunday night. If you guys are SiriusXM subscribers, I will be hosting the PFF game day. We don't have a name for the tailgate show, kind of what you guys do here, but it's going to be a blast. What I want this show to be from 7 to 9 p.m. I get the end of the late window games, the 4 p.m. East games, and then I get to preview Sunday Night Football. I get to go live to the games if I want to. Yeah. We've got the NFL radio connection. I can go like, hey, Patrick Mahomes driving. Let's go to Kansas City Chiefs radio. Boom. And we're going to the game. And I'm going to bring on special guests all year long. So guys like this week, Matt Donnelly, fellow Canadian, is going to hop on there with me. Nice. When injuries happen, I got a couple of doctor friends that are going to come on the show, and we're going to make it fun. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun, guys. I'm not going to bore you with stats left and right on this show. I got the advantage of all the great PFF info. So I'll hit you with the fun stuff there that means something, but we're just going to have a blast, man. So come hang with us. We're going to be living and dying with every touchdown, just like you guys are sitting home on your couch. So come hang out 7 to 9 Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.
Make sure you guys check it out. He's at Drake Fantasy, Brian Drake. We appreciate you. We appreciate you guys in the chat. 1912, Broward, Kyle, you guys are awesome. Smash the like, smash the subscribe if you're new. Make sure you tune in with us before Monday night and Thursday night games all year. Tailgate. Good luck, guys. Good luck. It's week 1. Good luck. Get some W's, and we'll check you all later.